The death of my previous life, the Sword of the World Leader by พระภาวนาวิสุทธิคุณหลวงพ่อจรัญทิตธรรมโม 24th of June 2526 BE In the Law of Karma Dhamma Practice Volume 5 Today I will tell of the story of the Sword of the World Leader which made people dream and come to Wat Amphawan. How did it happen? How much did the sword cost? It was a miracle that happened more than 10 years ago when I was at Wat Phromburi. I started the teaching of the Kammatthana since 2494 to 2499 BE after I returned from the forest. I developed the intention to teach the practice. At Wat Phromburi, I was asked by the abbot to rent the movable crematorium which was at Hua Vieng, บ้านแผนอำเภอเสนา Thia province. That area ran the business of cremation. They sold the electric lights and the crematorium. Since there was none here in Singburi, for we had only the crematorium with charcoal, which was for local people, but for an honorable or wealthy person, the crematorium had to be rented and brought from Hua Vieng, Phak Hai, and Ban Pan. There I had the story of my previous life. There was a female householder, Chum Si Reung. She owned a rice mill. I had never been there, so I did not know her. She was single and practiced meditation. She dreamed for the 3 consecutive nights that in her previous life she was at Ayutthaya. She had a son who was a soldier who was trapped by the enemies and was pushed into the water and died at Bang Sai by the turn of the canal where the Burmese troops passed. She wept for her son's death and told people of where her house had been. The second dream was that her son became ordained as a Buddhist monk at an unknown temple. On the 5th of February, the year was in my notebook, which I did not have at present. At 10:30 a.m., if there was a monk who came to have lunch at the household, that was her son who died in the war. She kept telling this to her family. The brother said that dream was impossible, but she kept believing it. On the 5th of February, she prepared a great deal of food, waiting for the monk. It must be him. This was a large house. The rice mill was next to the house. There was a staircase to the pier. There was a raft. The house was painted in beautiful color. That happened to be the day I was looking for the crematorium. I took a boat for Singburi to Phak Hai. I was looking for the house of Mr. Sangha, who ran the business of crematorium renting at Hua Vieng. I took a long-tail boat to Mr. Sangha. The driver knew him. It cost me not more than 50 baht round trip, for it took 20 baht per trip and another 10 baht for the wait. From the Phak Hai market, the boat stopped at Mr. Sangha's, but it happened to be that big house of Miss Chum Si. When I took off the boat, I was greeted at that moment on the pier. They invited me to the house. There were plenty of food. What was going on? I was looking for the movable crematorium of Mr. Sangha, but they invited me to sit down, brought me betel leaves and tea, and talked to me like we knew each other before. Is this Mr. Sangha's? The driver left right away, telling me he would come back within 1 hour. But the driver did not bring me to Mr. Sangha's, the owner of the crematorium rent. This was the rice mill, and there were people and food waiting for me at 10:30 a.m. It was the exact time, Miss Chumsee said. There was excitement, but I knew nothing of it. What merit making is this? Patron and patroness. This was not supposed to be for me. I was looking for the crematorium. Is this Mr. Sangha's? No, this is not. We all know Mr. Sangha. He is at Hua Vieng. Oh dear, I was brought to the wrong house. Anyone please call the long-tail boat back to me, please? It was too late. The boat has disappeared. It was 11 a.m. before they could understand that I was not expecting to come here. But they asked me to give them the 5 precepts. They wished to make the Sankhathan. What temple is this offering for? Listen to us, Venerable Sir. Should take it, and please, you are invited for lunch. Please help yourself, please. I was quite angry with the driver of the boat. He told me he knew the place of Mr. Sangha, but brought me to Miss Chumsee's. They were very pleased and took care of me well. They prepared the hot water and tea in advance. I took a few spoons but could not take more, for I felt I was not the one they invited. After lunch, they told me the dream. She said I was her son in the previous life. Oh, I don't believe it. How could that be? You are too young to have a grown-up son like me. But she was convinced I was. She told me she kept some notes. She dreamed of this for 3 consecutive nights. She said her family thought she was insane, but here you are, at the exact time that I dreamed of. I told her the truth. I did not know your place. I knew nothing about this story. I was looking for the crematorium at Mr. Sangha's. Finally, we talked until evening. She told me her life. I don't believe it, but I did not let her know of it. Then the driver came back. So I spent the whole afternoon at Miss Chumsee's, who told me that Mr. Sangha was not home. He went to Wat Sam Kaw, Ampher Sena. I had to come back again. I was disappointed and left, but I had a chance to meet the mother of my previous life. Since then, I acquainted this household. This incident happened 1 year after I came to Wat Amphawan. That was 2500 BE. But in my mind, I understood bits and pieces of the story, for some parts seemed okay, but I still didn't quite believe in other parts. I was at Wat Amphawan teaching the Kammatthana. After the car accident, when I broke my neck, there was a voice telling me, "You only have 5 more years to go." But from the 14th of October 2521 BE until now in 2526, which was already 5 years, I had a nimit telling me Please, Venerable Sir, you are invited to leave. Oh, this must be the time now, but I didn't pay much attention to this sign. Maybe it was because of the story of Miss Chumsey about myself being pushed into the water. But the sign from the Kamatan practice was that Venerable Sir will be dead for sure. The sign went like this. I was in the Uposat hall meditating. There were 4 people inviting me to get dressed in a coronation uniform. That was to say, they were asking me to leave the monkhood. I said, no, I still love the chastity. No, you have to come with us. This is a must. They were soldiers and were handing me a gold plate with the coronation uniform. You have to get dressed. Oh, dear. I still love the chastity. I don't want to go with you. Let me remain in the monkhood. No, this is a must. They handed the uniform to me. I had to agree. I put on the robes, the top, the hat, and went out of the Uposat hall. There I met the Chinese woman, Chun, from Singburi, Mrs. Tongdi Yanvatana. She once told me she wanted to sell her car. She asked me to help raise the sales to 10 cars. She had a dream. It was the same dream. She brought the car to this temple for me to put consecrated powder on it. She saw me in that attire, with the gown of deity and a sword, about to leave the Uposat hall. The Chinese woman grieved. She wept and said, Why is Luang Po disrobing? You shouldn't be doing so. I come to present you a sum of 10,000 baht. I have sold all the cars. I told her, my time was up. I cannot remain longer. She still said, Luang Po shouldn't be disrobing. Why are you putting on this attire? After a while, we came back into the Uposat. There were 2 more groups of people coming. They said, Most Venerable Sir, you still have time. So I had to get changed. Then they told me, Most Venerable Sir, committed a lot of sins. You had killed a lot of people. You have to find your own sword to modify your karma result. The sword is from in Chiang Mai. It is now in Ayutthaya. You have to prepare a sum of 5,000 baht. Fortunately, on that day, the 3rd of November, 2524 BE, I had to attend the ceremonies at Wat Barom Puttaram in the compound of the Teacher College of Ayutthaya to locate the area for the Buddha statue of that temple to be situated. I came up with an idea of who should be the speaker. It was Ajahn Tongdi Po, Muang Thong of Wat Po, Prathap Chang, Pichit province. He was born there and had been the abbot of the Wat Barom Puttaram. He was a good speaker. I needed a person from Po Prathap Chang who knew all this information. It was that this temple was built by King Prapet Racha, and the district of Po Prathap Chang was the area where the king Prachao Sua was from. He was the son of Prapet Racha. So I invited Ajahn Po to be the speaker for Dr. King Keo Atthakon. We were going to mold the Buddha statue of the temple Boromputharam. I borrowed some 5,000 baht from him to pay for this sword. There were two swords. One was short, the other was longer. Ajahn Akom Warajinda, the friend of Dr. Kinkale at the University of Mahasarakam, already bought the short one. This was quite strange. I happened to be there for the ceremonies, but I did not tell anybody. There was only the woman Unrön from Waratat shop and Somsi from Bangkok shop and some more to help with the work that Dr. Kinkale was arranging. After the ceremonies, the friends of Dr. Kinkale said they wanted to see the place about the story of Mrs. Sopa, Pathama Dilok, but I did not agree to bring them to the place. Mrs. Sopa was the wife of the chief of Ampher Mueang Singburi. She did not get along with her husband, but from the practice of Kamatan, they got along better. In her previous life, she once molded a Buddha statue and had her name inscribed on the statue. It was at a temple in Ayutthaya. This couple was not man and wife in that life, but they knew each other and she could use his money. She took the money to mold the Buddha statue. I have seen that Buddha statue and the name inscription. It was from the time Ayutthaya had not yet been invaded by Burma. But don't try looking for it. It was at Wat Na Pramen. This is the story of Mrs. Sopa in her previous life. The next morning, the Chinese woman Chun came to Wat Amphawan. She said, "Oh no, Luang Po, I saw you disrobe last night. You were dressed like in the old days, with Jonggraben, a hat, and even a Sangwan bracelet chain necklace. Oh, how I wept last night. Oh, I had the same dream. Why are you coming this morning? I brought with me a sum of 10,000 baht. In the dream, I brought my car, and I saw you coming out of the Ubosot hall. There were 4 people with you. I said, oh no, you have to return into the Ubosot hall. There were 2 people following you. The other 4 disappeared. Oh, how could you disrobe? You were dressed in full attire of the king with the Sangwan necklace. You also carried a sword. It was shaped like this. So, it was the same dream. My karma expiation must be real. There were only a few days left. The money was not enough. I borrowed here and there, for the sign that appeared in my Kamatan practice revealed that it had to be 5,000 baht. This was unbelievable. The other sword was already at Mahasarakam. That day, after the ceremonies, we all went to Wat Mongkol Bapit to see the Buddha statue that was brought from Wat Boromputharam and look for the sword. Ajahn asked whether this sword came from Chiang Mai, and it came from Chiang Mai.